Assalamu alaikum and good evening. This is Ishan Isaac with Zishan on air every Sunday 6 p.m. and onward, right here on the traditional media as well as all over the world through social media. And the American Dreams Closing Gate. That was a very interesting article that I read, and I thought I will share some of that concept of American Dream. Is it still alive? I personally believe yes, it is alive. However, it's definitely closing its gate, like it's mentioned in this particular article. And it was reported in MSN news outlet online, where the big picture they talked about was the generations of Americans have seen a job, a spouse, and home ownership as waypoints in pursuit of the American dream. Fewer young Americans are on that track than in decades past. And this is exactly where they're talking about some of the key trends. For example, unemployment is low, but so are new job postings. Divorce is down, but so is marriage. Home values are at historic highs in much of the US, but home sales are the lowest in I would say, in a generation. So this is reported here. And then they talked about some of the key trends. For example, low rates of Americans with jobs, very low rates of Americans with jobs are quitting or being fired each month. It's a fact. But those on the unemployment rolls are now staying there longer than at any time since before the pandemic. Now, employers are, instead of experimenting with AI to make their workforce more productive, in fact, they are experimenting with AI. So that's good because we would like to make sure that American workers are being more productive. So AI will help us do that. Despite these reports where many jobs will be obsolete, yes, there would be many jobs, but that's where upskilling and cross-functional training and learning new skills and technicalities from the aspect of technology is so critical in this day and age. And then young college grads, and hats off to all those who have graduated this year and this semester in summer, and then obviously in winter, or in those who have graduated or will be graduating in fall, where young college grads are hit especially hard by this phenomenon, as entry-level roles are particularly hard to find. So yes, hats off to you. At the same time, hang in there. You will find good jobs. And it's just not the institution of marriage. Cohabitating among romantic partners is way down, and surveys even suggest teen dating has dropped dramatically. So this is another area where people are not trusting each other. And because the traditional ways of meeting people face to face because of the pandemic, and then with millennials, and even now with the this generation alpha that they call it, and Gen Zs as well. So that's where they are still growing up, but at least those who are in the aspect of millennial generation, if they are not going to make an effort, they may not be able to find their life partner. So now, and finally, 2025 is shaping up to be one of the worst years for home sales in a generation, possibly the worst in 30 years, per analyst Heather Long. And supply is way too low. That keeps values high for people who already have homes and makes home ownership that much less attainable for many who don't. And then folks who locked in super low mortgage rates a few years ago are sitting particularly pretty. So they're in a very good position. And then now with relatively high rates and record high prices in much of the country, millions of Americans are deferring dreams of buying homes or giving up entirely. So hopefully in the next 1 or 2 years, it would change. And that's where these discussions are happening, where Bylock and President Trump fire Jerome Powell, who is the Fed chairman, or they will find some ways to do it, or next year when his term is up, they will bring in someone new. So anyway, people need to hang in there for at least a year. The job market could also soon get better for those who don't have jobs, or worse for those who do. So yes, these are some of the trends, but these trends are now linked. Work age people who are married are much more likely to be employed, and vice versa. And people who are employed and married are much more likely to afford a home. So studies have shown that income is strongly linked to life satisfaction, and marriage even more so. So the bottom line is millions of younger Americans might be stuck on the other side of the white picket fence looking in. So that's basically is so important because of politics, and that's where people vote different candidates, and especially many people voted for President Trump to make sure that the inflation is handled properly or becomes lower, and then the economy, jobs, and then obviously immigration. These were the 3-4 main areas where people voted for President Trump. Now, Senator Bernie Sanders, he has posted on social media on X, where by a vote of 27-17, Senate Democrats voted to stop sending arms shipments to a Netanyahu government, which has waged a horrific, immoral, and illegal war against the Palestinian people. The tide is turning. Americans don't want to spend billions to starve children in Gaza. So that's Senator Bernie Sanders. And with regards to the Senate vote that he just mentioned. The Guardian has reported about Rupert Murdoch, and Wall Street Journal, Fox News is still owned by Rupert Murdoch. So this was an interesting, I would say, banner or this projection on the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, which is right opposite the White House on July 18th, just last month, a message calling on Donald Trump to release all the Epstein files. The Guardian has reported Deutsche Bank agrees to pay $75 million to settle Jeffrey Epstein lawsuit. Group of women accuse lender of helping facilitate U.S. financiers' sex trafficking operations. This is only 1.2% of Deutsche Bank's profit in 2024. And then with this other news that was reported by PBS News, where JP Morgan to pay $75 million for role in Epstein's sex trafficking operation, and that's only 0.1% of JP Morgan's profit in 2024. And then the New York Times has reported Bank of America flagged suspicious payments to Epstein only after he died. So that's where now some Senate staff members are urging that Bank of America be investigated for the way it reported payments to Jeffrey Epstein, the disgraced financier. There is a report by Newsweek on H-1Bs. This is the work visa program, temporary work visa program, more difficulties changing jobs as we speak, and as the immigration status is tied to their employer. Critics have also suggested that companies can pay these employees less than American-born employees doing the same job, or they should have also said, or citizens or naturalized citizens, because not all Americans are just American-born. I mean, there are many naturalized. In fact, 15% of the U.S. population is naturalized citizens who are foreign-born, but they have taken the oath and they are naturalized citizens. So H-1B registrations and approvals. So there's an entire list of data that is reported by USCIS, total registrations, eligible registration for beneficiaries with no other eligible registrations, and then multiple eligible registrations and selected registrations. So the data speak for itself. From 2021, the total registrations have gone from 274,000 to 479,000 in 2025, and then in 2026 it will drop to 358,737. Now, the data, as the chart shows on the right side of this slide, and those of you who have not subscribed my YouTube channel, please do and share. And those who have already subscribed, thank you. So H-1B approvals 2017, 2025. In 2017, the top 3 or 4 companies who sponsored H-1B workers, they were Infosys on the top, then Wipro Limited, and then Accenture and Deloitte. In fact, Deloitte and then Accenture. And then you can see all the others, Tech Mahindra, Apple, HCL America, Deloitte Consulting is there as well, and Microsoft Corporation, 4,000 something. Then in 2018, the number is still showing these 3 or 4 companies, as you can see on this 2018 numbers. And then in 2019, you would see Google now coming up, obviously with the at least 6,054. Deloitte Consulting is still there, Microsoft Corporation, and then Infosys Limited. Wipro numbers have gone down, Capgemini has gone up, and then Apple Inc., their numbers have gone up. That was 2019. Now, in 2020, Amazon Web Services and Amazon.com services, and as you can see here in terms of Google, Infosys, Cognizant, Apple, Microsoft, HCL America, Cognizant Technology Solutions, Accenture, Deloitte, they're still there, Apple Inc., and then Capgemini. In 2021, Amazon was the number 1 with 12,944 H-1B registrations or people who were employed Those were the applications, 12,944 in 2021. And then Infosys with 8,877, Cognizant, and then Google. And then the others, Microsoft is coming after all these 4 or 5. Then in 2022, you would see Meta platforms coming up with more numbers, and then Google is still being the dominant player in terms of the highest number of H-1B workers. Then you would see Microsoft Corporation, Infosys still up there. In fact, right after Google, Infosys, Apple, then I would say Microsoft, and then Meta. And then in 2023, you will see Infosys still at the top position in terms of H-1B. Google became number 2, and then Cognizant. In fact, Cognizant is more than, in fact, Infosys, pretty much a few hundred jobs more, but it's still 7,000 something. And then Infosys, and then Google, and then Microsoft, Apple, and then others, you can see with these bubbles. And then in 2024, you would see some more players coming in, but it's still the major forces, Amazon, Infosys, Google, Cognizant, Apple continue to remain there, and Amazon again in 2025, Google stays there, Meta, and then Tata Consulting Services, TCS. Now, keep in mind, the Americans have actually worked hard for the past decade or so with so much focus on STEM. So now we have more students coming out of high school and even in our different schools from all these public and private schools. I'm talking about universities where we have more graduates now with STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. So those were the years where America did in fact lack STEM graduates from our high schools as well as from our colleges nationwide. Now that trend has completely changed. So we will continue to see lower demand for H-1B, and we'll continue to see more hawkish policies, which some people may definitely criticize it, but obviously the priority needs to be for Americans and those who are born here and those who are naturalized citizens, period. So this is where the Trump administration will continue to look at these numbers, USCIS, and I personally believe that those who are on H-1B, and they should be thinking very, very hard for yourself and for your families, that if you get laid off, and they say it's about 60 days, now the USCIS and ICE, they are in fact not keeping that 60 days as the grace period. Because if you are so much in demand and you are the rocket scientists of the world, for lack of a better term, then you should not be even get laid off. But that is not true, because sometimes these layoffs happen, and we know sometimes they look good on paper and sometimes there are some other reasons. And sometimes those jobs are not needed because they have been outsourced or what have you. But on the flip side of it, that if your skills are so much in demand, then on merit, not with networking, not with, who knows who, and then, I know this person, I know that person, and this is happening in IT world for sure, where Americans would be robbed from these jobs because with connections and networking. So HRs of the world and then different major organizations, I think they will continue to see a lot of scrutiny on this because of the economy and how things are shaping up. So what that means for those who are on temporary work visa, well, you are on temporary work visa. So if you need to stay in the US, you have to think about it. You cannot think that, oh, you will stay here forever. And then number two is those who are here in the US, they may be thinking of, immigrating to some other countries where they may still be highly sought. But in the US, I think we have enough. And I don't think, in fact, we do have enough talent and we do have enough people who can do these jobs without robbing our patriots or my compatriots and even Americans who are very smart and very productive, and the STEM focus is science, technology, engineering, and math. Here in the US with high schools graduates and also more graduates in our universities who basically can do these jobs easily. And some of the labor intensive work can be done back office from other outsourcing countries. Trump formalizes high tariffs as he tries to reshape the global economy. Now, this will continue to be a key focus as we will continue to see tariff situation and then manufacturing. The whole idea was that Trump administration is banking on a return of production jobs to the US as tariffs increase the cost of imports. But so far, there has been little evidence of a pickup in manufacturing employment. However, Federal Reserve's decision to hold rates steady is still the National Association of Manufacturers that continue to call for, quote, zero for zero tariffs that reduce trade barriers on both sides. So we'll see how this shapes up, and sometimes manufacturing takes longer to hold ground back in the US. But it can happen. Here, some other news on this with regards to Trump's order. Thursday says the new duties will not take effect until August 7th. And that's where some of the modest dips in the UK and Germany to larger falls in Japan and the most dramatic South Korea down their stock markets down 4% since opening. And then inflation and stagflation is what are the prospects, as they are saying, especially the National Retail Federation has said tariffs, quote, threaten the American dream, unquote, while hurting small businesses. So the economy is still shaky. However, there are some other countries like Brazil is the new subject to more punishment measures in the form of 50% tariff that Trump pegged to coup changes brought against former President Jair Bolsonaro and a Trump ally. Another South Korea was allowed to buy its way to a 15% duty. And then there are some other countries where US has actually signed some deals. For example, in the Wednesday Truth Social, Trump also said that he was slated to meet with South Korean officials that afternoon to discuss a deal to lower the Asian countries' planned 25% tariffs on goods imported to the U.S. And then obviously the U.S. Secretary of State Rubio and Pakistani Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Isaac Dar shake hands for photographs assembled at the State Department of Washington, D.C. On July 25th. And this is where a very interesting tweet or on X platform where Trump has also mentioned that they have signed the deal with the US, and long story short, maybe Pakistan can sell oil to India, and then obviously with their huge oil reserves, because India has been asked to pay 25% tariffs, and even with penalties, because India and Indian officials, they have said that they are not going to basically give into the pressure, the American pressure, not to buy oil from Russia. And that was another key reason that India is going to face more tariffs, and rightly so, because why India is buying oil from Russia? India should be buying oil from maybe Saudi Arabia or other Asian countries. And Russia obviously attacked Ukraine. So that is a very fundamental question, and Indians should be answering that question. But from a US standpoint, that is the main reason why India has been asked to pay 25% tariffs, and they're not happy. And obviously, they're not happy because, and that's the question that Indians need to answer. Here on this slide, you will also see this issue that is going on in Pakistan with regards to Senator in Pakistan, Talal Chaudhry. He said that you previously stated that the children hold niqabs. Is this true? They do not require visas to enter Pakistan. If they do need visas, that means they are not Pakistani nationals. So what is the real truth behind it all? So this is where the sister of the former Prime Minister Imran Khan, she basically put it on social media that basically about her nephews and Imran Khan's boys. He has two boys. That a few days ago, they want to come to Pakistan, visit Pakistan to meet his father. A few days ago, Suleiman and Qasim applied for their visas with the Pakistani High Commission in London. The ambassador has intimated, I don't know if she meant that basically made them scared or what have you, that he is awaiting approval from the Ministry of Interior in Islam, or basically intimated, meaning more that he inclined. This is some British language they use, British English. So this is going on. Then Barrister Akil, he posted this anyway. So what is going on? This is where just because the former prime minister is in jail, so his sons who are British nationals, they live with Jemima, former PM's ex-wife, and she belongs to Goldsmith family, but they are Imran Khan's sons. And Mariam Riaz Bhutto responded to Senator Talal Chaudhry on this. Don't play smart, Talal PML, and that's the ruling party in Pakistan. Shehbaz Sharif belongs to, the current prime minister belongs to this party. If they enter on their NICOB, which is a sort of ID card, you can think of it. It's a national origin card of Pakistanis who can go without a visa if they get that, or can still go on a visa if you are American or British national. You can arrest them as normal Pakistani citizen if they go on this ID card, what have you, according to this lady. And then she also said that if they come on visa, they enter as British nationals, and arresting them would require invoking British embassy. So this is where some interesting things are happening with regards to the local politics, and then with this geopolitics, with some reports saying that the field marshal of Pakistan's army may be coming to the US soon. We'll see, or maybe to Houston. There are some reports, but I don't know how credible those reports are, but some anonymous resources are talking about that because of this oil company that President Trump has also found for Pakistan, where they will do the drilling and find more oil. And that's what they're saying. And there have been some reports where Pakistan has fourth largest oil reserves. It remains to be seen, but that would be big news. But then again, what kind of country Pakistan would be, we will see. That's the question that Pakistanis need to address. So with that, I'm going to sign off. But before I sign off, I would like to thank our key advertisers. Without them, this program and this research and everything is not possible. And you also should support them. Affordable Insurance of Texas, AITinsurance.com. 713-785-4000 is their number. They have been in business for decades, and they have locations all over Houston, greater Houston area, even in Texas, multiple cities. And for homeowners insurance, for business insurance, for commercial insurance, and for health insurance, you can contact them. But last but not least, especially for auto insurance, you need to contact Affordable Insurance of Texas. AITinsurance.com is the web address. You can connect with them online, AITinsurance.com, or call them 713-785-4000. 713-785-4000. And I would also like to thank Roop Sari Palace, under one-stop shop, thousands of square footage. You will find all these beautiful menswear, women's wear for brides and grooms. And as you can see on this picture, those who are watching me live, where you can find sherwanis, formal wear for weddings for men, kurta pajamas, formal wear, and then also for women, saris and all these different beautiful dresses women wear as brides, and all these saris to chaniya, choli, sharare, gharare. These are some I would say local terms for these dresses. And you can buy many beautiful dresses for brides and grooms, and for men, women, and for boys and girls, and even imitation jewelry. And with that, go to Roop Sari Palace, or simply visit them online and roopsari.com. You can order online, or just call their number, as you can see on the screen, 832-267-0065, and roopsari.com, and you can order anything online. So with that, I would like to sign off today and continue with the traditional media. And please subscribe and share my YouTube channel as well. And we're live on YouTube channel as well as on Facebook Live. With that, signing off. Thank you.